Bitch, this you?
Was poppin', was poppin', was poppin'. Welcome, Nikki and Moose. I'm Nikki. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And welcome to the live show. Oh, I'm hearing two things at once, but that's just my fault. Y'all don't hear it. It's me. Anyways, first and foremost, thank you for watching this live. If you are watching this live, please like so the algorithm could like us. Share if you have those capabilities, right? And then comment where you're watching this from so we can shout you guys out. And if you want to support the channel, there's a few ways. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's super chat, super stickers, and super thanks. If you're watching this on Facebook, there is stars. I believe it's stars, right? So go do that if you rock with us, if you support us. We love it. And of course, the new episode 132, dropped today. And it featured none other than this man over here, Moose. Okay. How are we feeling now that the episode officially dropped?
Man, good. I'm feeling good. Honestly, I enjoyed that process way more than I expected. And I was very happy with what we produced. I mean, I think you did a phenomenal job, on the production and really formulating the questions. And it's crazy because you always downplay whatever, your stuff is. Like, personally, I always downplay my own stuff. So I think going through it and just being receptive. This is the first time that I was doing something where I wasn't trying to hide or downplay or avoid saying certain things. It was just a matter of, hey, whatever comes, that's what's going to be said. So yeah, I was very happy with how it turned out.
Good. And if you guys watched it, or clearly not watch it because watching is tomorrow. But if you heard the episode, please let us know what you think about it, that whole nine. Besides that, how are you feeling? Give us some updates.
Feeling good. I was just telling we had someone over here, Rebelsie's friend, and I was just telling her, I said, this is the time of the month where your body starts to feel as though it's getting adjusted to the fast and your digestive system isn't as taxed. So I feel pretty good. I literally just ate. I mean, I'm talking about seconds ago. So
Really?
I'm talking about, right on the spot. Because, the way it works is, let's say, I think I told you this, as the month progresses, you break fast a little bit later than usual. So we started at the beginning of the month. We were breaking fast like 7:10, 7:15. And every day you start your fast a couple minutes early and you break your fast or end your fast a couple of minutes later. So 20 minutes in, there's about a 40-minute difference. So now we're breaking fast at 7:30. So the way you do it is you break fast quickly, you pray, then you come back and have your main meal. So by the time you do that, 7:30, it's like you're just going through it. But I feel great. I mean, I'm grateful and think things are really well. Thank God.
Yay. All right, then what are we talking about?
Man, so I'm really excited for this one. As we get into it, I'm seeing us a little light in the chat. So please make sure before we get going here, check in, let us know where you're coming in from in the chat. Also, let me know how you're feeling. Sometimes we make a big deal. It's not like you're going to move from week to week. I imagine most of us, for the most part, we live in the same place every week. But let me know how you're feeling, man. If you feel good, drop a 1 in the chat. If you're feeling like, honestly, I need a little pick me up, drop a 2 in the chat. I've come to realize that it's important not to suppress your feelings, whatever it is you want to address them, but not let them really control you, right? So, let me know how you feel in the chat, man. Put that in there. And if you are yourself or some people who can benefit from this live, please make sure you share it with at least 2 people. Just hit the share button somehow. Be like, yo, jump into this live. This is some pretty cool stuff because we're going to be talking about brand ecosystems. And quite honestly, this is not so much a conversation that you hear in the branding and business space that we operate in, because it's really related to bigger businesses, corporations, and tech companies. But there's a lot that we can learn from that infrastructure and what they've done in that space. and how we can benefit from that type of model as personal brands, entrepreneurs, creative entrepreneurs, the whole nine. So, when you think of a brand ecosystem, the first thing that immediately comes to mind is, of course, Apple. I'm a big Apple fanatic, not just because I love their products, but because I really think the way that they run their business is off the wall. Like, it's incredible what these people do. And I mean, all signs should signal to that. These guys are probably the only company on the planet, with the exception of maybe like one or two others, that one of their biggest problems is that they have too much cash. Like, that should let you know how well of a company that they're run, right? But the cool thing about them, and just listen to the terms loosely, but I want you thinking about from where you sit and the type of business that you operate, or the type of brand that you run, or the type of brand that you hope to one day create, which I hope is sometime soon. I want you to just think about, what does that mean for you? All right. So what do we know about Apple? And think about their ecosystem. The reason why Apple is so good at stealing people and creating these almost wars amongst friends in text groups, especially, is like, oh, this guy don't got an iPhone, ruined our text group. Now our text group is all turned into green instead of blue, right? Well, that's a brand ecosystem that has been created because of phenomenal product. So they have hardware, which is the physical products like the Mac computer that I'm using, the iPhone, the iWatch, right? Any physical product, that's their hardware. Then they have software to go along with that. So we know that we're going to get the, what is it called? Like the iOS, right? That's a software. That's the software that powers the phone. And so the two go together to create a complete product. But even more than that, they also create services, right? They create iCloud. So if you need more space, well, you can utilize iCloud and get more space or data and storage right from there. They have iMusic. They have these other subscriptions like, what's it called? The fitness. I've never used it. They always give me a free trial, but I've never used it. What I think you used it once. Was it?
Fitness Plus or something like that.
Exactly. So these are other services and subscriptions. So what they're doing is they're creating an entire and complete ecosystem between their hardware, software, and services that, as you become a part of it, you're almost pulled into everything else that they're doing, because they're creating a seamless and inclusive experience for you that at the same time makes you more loyal to their brand. So they win by making things more accessible and easy to use for you. And they win because, of course, they get to keep you as a customer. You continue to buy more of their products and services, et cetera. So I want us to set the stage by understanding first, what is the brand ecosystem? And that's kind of what I just explained here. And I want to dive into tonight how we can create a similar model for those who are in the personal brand or branding space in general, small business and creative entrepreneurs. Because we might think that, well, I can't do that as a creative. Yes, you can. I'm gonna challenge your perspective on that. You can. And there are a few ways to really do that. One of which is collaborations, which I'm really excited to kind of get your take on, Nix. But let's just dive into it. I mean, to start off, like, what comes to mind when you first heard the term brand ecosystem? And then what are some ways that you would say that model translates to the everyday personal brand and small business or creative entrepreneur?
So I instantly think about, how do we keep people in our circle, right? When I think of brand ecosystem, like, how do we keep them? How are we creating different things that are going to allow them to have a tool, a resource, a motivation, entertainment, some way, shape, or form, all in one spot? So I wouldn't say corner them, but they feel as if anywhere else they only get bits and pieces, where they have the full blown situation right here, right? So instantly, I kind of think of people like Oprah, and I think of Gary V for real, when it comes to like a brand ecosystem, because, he catches you with, let's say, the content. catches you with the podcast, blogs, things like that. And then you want to go and see him live, you may find him in one of his speaking gigs. And then if you're really, really like want to be a part of what Gary Vee is doing, now you're seeing that he's doing V Friends, which we've covered in the podcast before. And the V Friends, if you're in there, then there's events for V Friends. There's pictures and plush toys and everything around that you would need when it comes to Gary Vee's ecosystem, right? So instantly when I think of like personal brands, it's just pretty much taking them on the journey of where did they start to like higher and higher and higher levels. We talk about Oprah. Oprah started with a show to a magazine to a whole network.
Wow.
And we have to break things down like that. Tony Robbins, from speaking to consulting to mentorships to that whole night. E has similar a similar ecosystem with speaking to, from content to speaking to events to books to communities to extreme execution. It's like everything that you would need is right here. So I would think when you're thinking from a personal brand, like what is the journey and what would they need in their toolbox? What would they need to continue to travel in this journey of yours and want to be a part of it? So, of course, if we look at anybody that I said, it starts with some type of content. Like I said, Oprah had a show. That was her content at the time. Gary Vee, content, right? So we got to attract them, and then we got to take them off social media and bring them, see, now I can't even talk. Bring them to, whether it is a book, whether it is an event, whether it is a community. Where am I trying to take my audience? Where am I trying to take my loyal fans in these different places? Because they're going to go and be a part of everything. I know, based off being part of E's brand, that there's people that have done every single program, been to every single event, right? And it's like I'm stuck here. Like anything you do, I'm gonna be a part of. I all of a sudden need to learn about the flight assessment. For some reason, I am not that self-aware. Like it would, things you weren't even necessarily worried about before. You were like, okay, I have a job, I get to next joint, right? Now, when you were bringing people into your ecosystem, you're unveiling other problems that they may have, or you will message it as if they all of a sudden have this problem or eventually will have this problem. And you're like, you know what? I don't communicate right. I'm not very self-aware of myself. You're right. There are gaps I don't know. I guess I need to take the flight assessment.
Look at that.
Like, so
Yeah.
it's all of that. It's figuring out what is the brand journey that you are trying to take your people to, and how do you make it accessible for them?
Yeah, that's so good, man. And I love how you broke that down, because it really does go against most of, if not half of, what we would normally expect to be the way a successful business operates. And again, that's why I've always said, be careful to want to get to the level of entrepreneurship where you're just free. You're free of your job. You're free of your bills. You're financially free. You have some level of comfort, because that's when you get to a point of stagnation and you stop innovating. You stop reinventing and recreating things. A lot of these companies that we're talking about, whether they're personal brands or any even big corporation, we're talking about them because they continue to innovate and reinvent and give us things that are new. Imagine, just because we're talking about Apple, imagine if iPhone never created the next iPhone. Like if they just were like, oh, we gave you iPhone, that's it, it's a wrap.
Right.
And we made millions and billions of dollars, so we're going to sit back and just let the consumer expect, or we're going to expect the consumer to be happy with what it is. So a big part of people's hurdle in creating that complete ecosystem is because they get comfortable with what they have. And so you have to ask yourself, what is the next logical step that someone who's a part of my community or who's interacted with my product and service in the past, what's that big thing that they're going to want? And the crazy thing that I've always found is that it's always just a simple conversation. You don't even have to come up with the answer yourself. You just have to have a conversation with one of those members and say, so tell me about your experience. What did you notice? What would you have liked to be different? It's almost like an exit interview. I don't know if anyone, ever did an exit interview if they were with a company and they were leaving or whatever the case may be. But it's that same thing for someone who's interacted with your product and service. And now you're trying to figure out, okay, what can I do to make this more of a well-rounded and completed experience? The thing that I thought was so fascinating about what you said is that you said you can now start that ecosystem with content. And that, I don't want to say it's free, because the landscape of the content world is changing today, but you can start for very minimal to low cost or with things that you already have to start creating that ecosystem. Because it is crazy to think about that everything we see within E's brand today started with a simple video or a series of videos. That's crazy. I mean, can you imagine trying to do this back in, I don't know, the 90s, the 80s, or even the 50s, trying to create what is there today with nothing? Because technically that's what that is. It's like, oh yeah, it's going to be a digital thing. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like we live in a time that is really unique. As like, we're almost lucky to be a part of this environment, because you don't have to have a specific access code. And look, I get it. At certain levels, yes, it does matter who you know and all of these different things. But at the end of the day, you can still get a fighting chance just by simply being real enough and being you enough and putting yourself out there and saying, hey, this is what it is. With a unique talent, you put stuff in the game. I find that crazy. I still find that crazy. I'm like, yeah, that's wild.
Why? Why do you find it crazy?
Because traditional business has always made you feel that there are so many barriers to entry, everything from race to class to finances to intellect and all of these different things, that to see that you can enter the space today with something as simple as content. That to me is one of the greatest equalizers of all time. It's like, yo, you can get to 7 and 8 and even 9 figures by mastering content. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. And to me, because I've also was a content rebel for 2 years. So that's why I'm like, dang, that's crazy. You got sold on content. That's wild. That's wild. That's wild. That's so wild.
We're introduced to some of our favorite brands and some of our favorite people through content.
Yeah.
It's the entryway. So it's, it's something you got to take serious from a business standpoint, because they know, people are going to know who we are, trust us, know, like, and trust factor because of content, not because, well, some will be because of an event, but even to promote an event, you need content. So
yeah. You know what's something that we never really spoke on, at least in great detail, here on the show or on the podcast, but it's the 7-hour rule. That you shared and we kind of talked about a little bit, at least privately, what it takes for someone in a cold market or a cold demographic, or even someone who is a part of your community, really, to get comfortable enough with you to say, okay, I naturally want to do more. Because I think people think that somebody might actually put a ton of products. Like they might do the opposite of what I just explained and say, oh, okay, I got 17,000 products, but no one's buying. Like no one is interested. What am I doing wrong? And what we've learned through that model, and again, sharing it from your own experience, but what happens to a human psychology as you spend more time with them, and there's like that magic number that you reach that almost unlocks all of the doubt, the skepticism that they might have had about you, or the lack of trust that they had toward you. It almost seems to go away because you've crossed that threshold with them. And that's also a big common player in, or a big, I would say, even a tactic and strategy in creating that ecosystem, or the content specifically is, it helps you to break that threshold of, you go from a complete person that they know vaguely from afar to you cross that point where, oh, they feel like they know you. And that's why a lot of members of bigger brands, when they interact with people who are a part of their community in the real world, it's almost as if they're friends already. Now, mind you, they could have never met. Like, I don't know if you've had that experience, but there are some people who you meet, they know so much about you and they give you such warm, welcoming energy that they take away that natural, I guess, coldness or warming up in a conversation, because they're just like, yo, I've been a part of this. I've seen this. That's so amazing. It takes away a lot of those, those challenges as well.
Yeah. It's crazy that if you put out, let's just say, enough content that, like how you said, people will come up to you and be like, yo, how you been? And I I love you and this is great. They act as if they know you because they've watched kind of your journey. They watched countless of pieces of content from you. For those who are into ClickFunnels and, the challenges, the reason why these challenges, and for those people who don't know what I'm talking about, there's people, especially in the information realm, have been doing these like 5-day challenges. And the reason why is because the more time you spend with me, the more trust you gain in me, and then you're going to want to go further, right? So it normally is a, let's say, hour, challenge. If you're in VIP, then it's another hour, half an hour to an hour, which then kind of equals up, depending on the level that you're on. It goes to like 7 hours, right? And so when you are upselling somebody to one of your products or one of your services, they almost feel like, yeah, I don't want this to stop. I only trust you, right? Now, some people, like I am one of those people, it doesn't take long for me to be like, where do I sign? Hello. I'm reading a book. It was one of these meditation situations where I started from reading a book to like, okay, I need to go to the retreat, whatever it is, right? Like, I'm here, I'm sold, right? And then I realized I wasn't that sold because I saw the price for it. And so I just did the subscription for the app. Like, okay, hold on. You got to talk to me nicer, maybe. Maybe we got to spend a little bit more time. To then, okay, now I spend more hours with you. I think about, how do I make this retreat even possible, right? And you as a brand have to think about that setup. You as a brand is like, okay, how do I create several hours on this platform that when they get to the next platform, next situation where they see me, it's a better conversion, whether it is from a conversation or just a better conversion of just talking time-wise, or whether it is from a monetization situation where, how do I make sure that they see me all over the place, that they feel like they know me. They have to be a part of what I have to do, that they're on this brand journey with me. So if I do, so for example, I may be giving things to away. And so if my team is on, I'm sorry, but I'm very excited about this. So too bad, right? So let's say I brand, like I get a dog, right? And I brand this dog and I'm like, hello, here's the dog, woo, woo. And then if you want to know more about the dog, go to this page. We're going to do all this stuff over here. There's going to be people that are like, oh my God, I love Nikki and she loves this dog. I just want to be a part of what is going on with whatever happens to this dog, right? So it is that we have to take the things that we are doing and the different stages that we're doing it in very serious, because it's not just, oh, I'm doing more products and services to make a bag. Is, I'm doing these products and services and everything to keep them and to continue to have this trust in me and my brand, and take them on this journey with me. Because there's other people that could do it. Why not with me? Why? My expertise is on point. My personality is on point. My brand, my products and services are on point. Why not me? So I look at brand ecosystem as just a really dope journey that we just have to map out properly, and we'll be good.
Man, it's crazy you say that, because I don't know if you saw, and real quick, God Level Material said deeper than the, like DTB question mark, deeper than the brand. That's the slogan or the letters for deeper than the brand. You see it on Nikki's shirt right there. The number one content branding community, literally in the world. If you'd like to be a part of the community, I suggest you highly consider it. We have over 4,000 members, man. That's kind of crazy if you think about it. People of all different walks of life looking to utilize content and branding to grow their either service or product-based business. So check it out. Can they go to a website somewhere? Somebody put the website.
Yeah, it's deeperthanthebrand.com. I'll put it up. I'll put it up.
There you go. Come on now. Check it out. You were talking on content and utilizing some of this stuff. I don't know if you saw, but they were saying Logan Paul recently got 100 million views for free. Do you hear anything about that? Crazy stories. Let me tell you real quick, all right? For those of you who like or dislike Logan Paul, just kind of bear with it, because you have to get to a point, especially when you're in the business, branding, and marketing space, that you're a student of the game, regardless of who it's coming from, right? And within context, I'm not saying mirror or copy what somebody's doing if you don't believe what they believe or you have differing values, but you got to see what's happening in the landscape, especially if it's in the digital space. So this is a YouTuber, Logan Paul. The Paul brothers, they went from YouTube to boxing, back in YouTube, but they just launched a sports drink.
Yep.
Prime is the name of it, right? And it's the fastest growing sports drink in the world, like in the history kind of thing, right? It's breaking records left and right. This guy got 100 million records because of content, yes, but his community second. There was an ad or a picture that was taken of him and KSI, who's the person who he partnered with for this particular product. And the community took it and they photoshopped it to make it look like something inappropriate, right? I'll let you guys kind of do your research and figure out what happened there. But they took it and saw the views and the attention it was getting, and they ran with it. They started to retweet it. They started to do different things with it. They went as far as actually making an ad or creating a poster board or whatever of the photoshopped billboard. There you go. Of the photoshopped version of the photo, and put it in stores to keep pushing it.
Yes.
When they added up all of the views combined from that one incident, 100 million views completely for free. $0, no ad spend, nothing at all, other than just content, having enough time with your community where they feel so engaged that they want to get involved and do things. You heard the story. We talked about it on the podcast where we talked about Mr. Beast's community is going into stores where his products are housed or his products are sold, and they're restocking and cleaning up the shelves for him. That's crazy.
Yep.
And it's not because of the product. It's because of the content that's happening. So that has to just put you in a space where you got to say, okay, hold on, 7-hour rule. What can I do to study my field of expertise so that I can get to a point that I can put out 7 hours of free information on one platform as quickly as humanly possible? That should be a goal. Quite honestly, if you are a brand, a business, a service provider, whatever the case may be, you should think about, am I in a position to put out just 7 to 10 hours of content on my area of expertise? Just absolutely free, valuable content that people can make use of. And if not, study your way to get to that point. That's the beautiful thing about it, is that, and that's why I'm so amazed. And I was making such a big deal of it in the beginning of our conversation, because I'm saying, do you know what it used to take to do what you can now do with 7 hours of content?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. You could have had the money and needed the endorsements and the relationships, or people would have entertained your idea just to take the money from you and not allow your business to go anywhere. Now that you have platforms that allow you to go DTC or direct to consumer, you got power in the palm of your hands. Like that, it's crazy not to think about it that way and want to do something with it. So in a lot of ways, when I want you to walk away from this conversation feeling empowered, like, wait a second, I can build through content and creating a simple brand ecosystem. Yes. Now, here's one thing that I'm sure people are thinking about. And this is kind of cool because this is where the flight assessment can help you with this to some extent as well. But, you know, one of the things that I always teach people as it relates to that, when they get to a point of saying, okay, creating an ecosystem means that I have to do more. Yes, to some extent you do. Well, what if what I have to do isn't a part of what I am naturally able to do? What if I'm not gifted or good enough to do that thing that you're telling me about? Well, just to utilize some of the flight assessment philosophies, when you understand the core of what we teach under that, concept, we're telling you to protect you at all cost by having the discipline and the wherewithal to know when to trade tasks and responsibilities with someone who has something that you don't have, and trust them enough not to micromanage or hold them back from simply carrying out that task for you, right? So if I'm working with Nikki and I know Nikki is the content expert, and I say, hey, Nikki, can you help me with my content? Because although I'm really good in this area of the business and blah, 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 you're so much better at content. It makes sense for me to partner with Nikki and allow Nikki to help me with content. What it doesn't make sense is for me to partner with Nikki and ask her to help me with content, and then every day just look over her shoulder as she's trying to help me with content and say, wait, don't do it that way. Wait. Come on, let me do it this way. No. Can you do that differently? Wait, can you do that over? It doesn't make sense, right? And so what I'm saying is, one of the ways to create a brand ecosystem is through collaborations and partnerships. Because you can simply get with someone else who has a completing or a complementing product or service to what you do. And just the mere partnership or the coming together of you two, it creates that experience that we're talking about, because it naturally brings about something different that didn't exist previously. So Nick, I wanted you to just kind of expand on that part too. Maybe you can give some relevant examples, because I always think of Nip when I think about that, right? Like the store experience and what he did there, and continuing to add layers to his brand. But I think of other people who've partnered. I mean, on the last episode, and by the way, if you didn't listen to the episode, we talked about me on the last episode. You should probably go check it out. And we talked about me on the last episode.
You talk about me.
You should.
Me, the only thing we talked about.
Definitely go check it out. And but one of the things I talk about there is the partnership with Extreme Execution and E, and it's like that came about as a natural progression, but it was a completing thing that built out in the ecosystem. So Yeah. Any examples that come to mind next when you think about that, or just how your approach is with when it comes to those things? Because that's one of the things that I feel is still underutilized today.
Um, well, with collaborations, one of the things that I would say, and shout out to the EYL family, big announcement coming soon. I'm just saying,
Hey.
big announcement, but talk about it later in life. However, there's two partnerships that, well, when we think about EYL, there's several partnerships that they have. But one in particular is when it comes to InvestFest, right? And one year they did it on their own. They did great numbers. Second year, they partnered with Steve Harvey, and they had about, I think, 12,000 people in the building or something to that effect, right?
Wow.
And now they're going to work on even making it bigger. I'm scared to see what that even means, right? Hold on. We got a
Hello.
strong super chat. Hold on. That's
What's up.
a 50. Hello.
That's
Thank
what's
you.
up.
We appreciate you. Let me put that back up. Hold on. I'm scared. All right. Anyways, so yeah, so when you have a product, a service, an event, and you can find somebody who can elevate it, right? You're going to want to. So they did that with Steve Harvey. They have, of course, the podcast, and you see them always wearing the assets over liabilities. They partnered with Revolt, and they have an assets over liabilities show that is getting some of the best influencers and celebrities to talk about their particular brand, right? Oh, y'all coming with the super chats. Hold on. Y'all really
Okay.
see y'all. Shout out to Chris earlier. I put that back up. You know what I mean? So they have the show with Revolt and partnered with Revolt. And then now with their community, they partnered with Marcus Barney, aka Him 500, and really are trying to corner the financial literacy side, because Marcus is known for the credit, and EYL is pretty much the curator of financial literacy, if we really think about it. Everything from real estate to crypto to stocks, in all types of investments. And so they collaborated on the community side. So event side, they collaborated. Content side, they collaborated. Community wise, they collaborated. So they did stuff on their own to a certain extent, and then to scale, they collaborated. So don't collaborate too early, or, yo, I don't have anything, let me just collaborate with somebody off top. Build the solid foundation, build the brand, build what needs to be scaled, and then find the proper people that are going to either give you the relationships, the resources, the systems, everything that you may need with these collaborations. But if we're breaking down collaborations, they're instantly one of the top people.
Yeah, for
two
sure.
of them that do that.
Yeah. What I love about what they did too is that, like you said, they cornered the market as it relates to one category. All right. And again, just another shameless plug. It just, I don't know why, it just organically it keeps happening. On this last episode that just came out today, which you guys should really check out. It's crazy. My goodness, I don't even know what to say, but go check out that episode. But we talk about making sure you understand what industry you're in and the scope of that industry. What I love about what they did, and you got to give them so much credit for this, they didn't try and do everything themselves, right? They didn't say, oh, we're the financial literacy guys. That means we have to teach you on everything A to Z as it relates to financial literacy. No, they partnered with MG the mortgage guy, and they allowed him to take over the real estate show. And I know I know there's a co-host there. I forget her name. I'm sorry, but right, both of them there had that. It's just like so many different people. And I think from the beginning, when you go into it with that mentality, you do create such a powerhouse movement and you allow yourself to be years ahead of whatever competitors or whoever else is trying to do the same thing, because you become that one go-to person or that go-to company for the thing that you're trying to specialize in. Again, we're not really here to talk about other people's business, but this is just to show you some relevant examples of the ways that you should be thinking about the space that you're in. If you can just get clear on that specific industry and what is the scope of that particular space, you can now start to think about, all right, how can I use partnerships to create a more complete brand ecosystem? And I can come out the gate almost 10 years ahead of where I am. These guys started in 2020.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Can you think about what they've created in a matter of 3 years can sometimes take companies 30 years to build. An event with 12,000 people, but you don't get caught up in what you see on the exterior. Think about the moves that were made internally that have helped to manifest what you see on the outside, right? Or what everyone's paying attention to. So I just think as businesses and brand creators right now, you have to be thinking about your space through that lens and saying, okay, seriously, let me not just say it because I know it's the right thing to do or the right thing to say, but how can I look at my space and utilize partnerships correctly, set them up in a fair and equitable way so that I can just pick up so much speed and think big picture. That's the last thing I'll say. Sometimes when you think about where you're going to be or where you want to be 5 and 10 years from now, I'm not saying you have to know exactly the steps to get there, but when you think about what this thing is really about or what you're trying to create after all, you move completely different today. All right. I just had a conversation with someone who I'm in business with today, and we were talking about someone's comp. And I said, okay, think of it this way. 3 years from now, is the extra $150 that we pay this person per day, is it going to make a big difference if they are a revenue producing person that can bring in, I don't know, let's just call it 5x what we pay them? Mm-hmm. And when you think about it that way, it's like, honestly, it's a no-brainer. Of course, I'm going to pay someone an extra $150 if they're going to give me an extra 5x on what I'm doing. But when it comes to partnerships, I think people get so caught up in the money today that they forget what they're trying to build in the future. And so that's the level of sacrifice that it sometimes takes when you're approaching some of these conversations, negotiations, call them what you want to call them. It takes big picture thinking to make partnerships successful. It takes someone with the wherewithal to say, all right, I know 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% may seem like a lot today based on the numbers and the money that we're making today. But hold up a second. For where we're about to be 3 to 5 years from now, I think that's a good deal. Mm-hmm. And that's the part that I think is really missing from just our community as a whole when it comes to these conversations around partnerships and collaborations, because that's the part that is missed out and not talked about. But then also, I think people don't realize how much work it takes to build something by yourself.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
It is tiring.
Very.
Yeah.
Very. That's why I'm getting a dog. No.
That's why I'm getting a dog. The dog is going to help me build. That's it. That's what this is.
That's why I get a dog. Yeah.
The dog is going to help me build.
Oh my God. Go ahead. What did you say?
I was going to say, another company that comes to mind, Starbucks. Of course, Nike, but I want to talk about Starbucks.
From a collaboration standpoint or just
ecosystem. Yeah, you got something on the collab part? Because if you do, I really want to listen to that.
So, I mean, collaboration, you got to think of Virgil. Yeah. Virgil, Off-White, to then take over the whole, Louis and how he collaborated with Louis and that whole nine and pretty much took over that whole department when he had Off-White. Yeah. When so many people were criticizing him, even yourself at a certain point.
Yeah, and I publicly came on here and had to apologize. Like, and you just never know what someone's going through, 100%.
Right, and there's in that sense, there's deeper reasons why to collaborate. Because now I'm I'm putting a nail in my legacy. Now I'm making sure, you know, I have financial freedom for those who I leave, you know, when I'm gone. And so this may not make sense to you right at this moment, but it's going to make sense eventually. And sometimes we have to move kind of in silence in those different types of scenarios. Another person, if we're talking about the Louis collaboration, we're going to talk about Pharrell and Adidas with Human Race, to then Pharrell to Louis and taking over that spot of Virgil, right? Where Pharrell has had an amazing brand by himself, but collaborated with Adidas at first to get really more staple into the fashion realm, right? Because he already, what was that one? The Billionaire Club, I think he was a part
The
of.
Billionaire Boys Club.
Yeah, Billionaires Boys Club. He had this ice cream joint that he was a part of, but the impact that I think his sneakers did and his line with human race killed it. And his skincare, right? He has his own skincare, to now, all right, I build all this. Now I got Louis. So those are some extra ones that I could think of when it comes to collaborations.
Yeah.
Those are very important.
Quick devil's advocate, or God's
Okay.
advocate, how you would call it. Is there ever a time or a circumstance that you would say it's not a good idea to partner?
When it's not mutual. Yeah. When it's not mutual. If it's not mutual, don't partner. If there's one upside more than the other, don't do that. Right? At some point the partnership it has to be mutual in some way, shape, or form. Now, it may not mutual in a money standpoint, but you may be getting exposure while they get money, right? Or vice versa. Or you may be getting extra resources or knowledge, and that there's something that is in for the both of you. Now, there are some unfair partnerships, and you may blind yourself as to say this is mutual. That's a different story. Okay. But a real good partnership is not blinded mutualism.
Or manipulated mutualism.
There you go.
It's a fact.
That one too.
Fact.
So, yeah, I just think when it's not mutual, it just doesn't make sense. And when we are partnering, you have to have belief in yourself. Period. You have to have belief in yourself, whether it is in the situation of the right then and there, or where this partnership is going. If you don't, you're going to get manipulated. You're going to get very blinded by just the opportunity, right? And it just doesn't make sense after a while. So, and then you get really bitter and you won't like that person. And then it's just wasted energy at the end of the day, when you could have just completely saw the red flags in the beginning.
Early. Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I'm glad that we said that. Shout out to y'all in the chat, man. God Scoop, T Monies, Brother Kurt, What It Do, Gangsta Chef. Appreciate y'all, man. Thanks for commenting,
Gangsta
y'all. Make
Chef
sure you
Kitchen.
guys.
I want this is interesting. That's an interesting name.
name.
See, that's very good branding.
name.
The
Great
Gangsta
branding.
Chef Kitchen. Where are you located? Because now I just want to plate.
Yo, I love and hate the internet so much. That just reminded me of a meme I saw online. The name of the restaurant was Thai Food Near Me. It was hilarious. Like, literally the name of the spot. Because, like, you would Google that. Like, if you were in the mood for Thai food, you would say Thai Food Near Me. The name of the restaurant is Thai Food Near Me. Oh my
That's
God, that
smart.
was funny.
That's
That's
smart.
funny. I was like, yo, that's the internet, man. The internet. Good stuff. I wanted to say something. Shoot. Oh, please share this video again. Like and share this video. Super important. You know, and check out the last episode. Last episode was so fire. You guys got to check out that guest, man. Dude is something else. I'm telling you. Last thing I want to say about Starbucks and a brand ecosystem. When you do this successfully, I want to show you. I don't know if you all heard of the story. It was pretty popular maybe a year or two ago, but they were talking about how Starbucks created their own bank. That might make you think. When you hear that, you're like, wait a second, how would Starbucks, a coffee company, create their own bank? That doesn't make sense. And kind of how it captured my attention. But it goes on to say that they created this rewards program to, again, create that experience for their customers. Well, that rewards app or that Starbucks app and the rewards points and all of those things that go into it, they had so much unaccumulated or what's the word? Not unaccumulated. Let's say so much unused money that Starbucks had a crazy amount of money sitting in their bank account that they can now start to utilize for other parts of their business, investments, R&Ds, development, whatever the case may be. All because of, now look, I'm not saying Starbucks did that strategically and intentionally and they just saw the future and saying, hey, this is how we're going to do it. It's going to do this. I mean, if they did, that's brilliant on their part. But imagine that. You take the step to create a part in your customer experience or customer journey that creates more of that ecosystem that we're talking about, where it makes the experience more user-friendly for the customer. They can order ahead, they can pick up, they can see what's at the store, they can see what's not at the store and what's sold out. They have this level of engagement in community. They're getting free coffee on their birthday. They're able to maybe give someone, like, think about it, right? It's really going beyond just coffee. What makes Starbucks different than the coffee you get anywhere else? Some might argue the taste. For me, I love coffee and I can't really tell the difference most of the time, but the brand and what they've created around it. Now, you get your customers, you urge them to start loading money into their accounts or to their rewards account. Fast forward some months later, hundreds of millions, again, a crazy number, Nix. I'm like a crazy number. I think it was literally like hundreds of millions of dollars. Somebody might be able to look it up and post it either in the live or comment it. But hundreds of millions of dollars of unused rewards were sitting in their accounts that they ended up starting. I mean, that they could have just used for so many different things. But it just shows you, when you're thinking about brand ecosystem, these are the types of opportunities that you come across that you would never get in touch with if you were just sitting back like, nah, I'm good. My bills are paid. I don't want to change. I don't want to innovate. I just think that's the biggest threat to entrepreneurship and brands that people don't fully acknowledge is comfort after you reach that threshold of, I could quit my job now. My bills are paid. I'm comfortable. I'm good. Such a critical piece. So just another one of those layers, man, under the business side that was like, yo, that's bananas.
Facts. I like it. If this added any kind of value, people, any kind of value,
one guy, I'm singing my song.
Why did that come up? That was hello.
Podcast vibes. What's up? Yeah,
hello.
Come on.
Wow.
Let's start recording a podcast right now. How about that?
No, not at all. Do us a favor. Drop your favorite emoji, whether you're watching this live, whether you're watching this replay. Drop your favorite emoji. Once again, if you truly support the channel, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that super thanks, hit that super chat if you're watching this live. And if you're on Facebook, hit the stars. We'd love you and appreciate you. Of course, check out the latest episode. Oh, before you go, let's do a quick poll. Real quick. Moose says, he got to get some get back, right? So meaning, we interviewed him this week. So he's saying, oh no, we got to do this next week. It got to be your turn. And I'm like, they know enough about me. What are we talking about? There's over 7 hours of content about me outside. You know what I mean? Like, I'm outside. I don't know what we're talking about. But if you agree with Moose that next week the roles should be reversed, and that he needs to come through with the fire questions like I did. You feel me? I'm back on that one.
That's right. That's right.
Give me the number 3. Give me the number 3, whether you're in the chat, whether you're watching this replay. Give me the number 3 if you want that to happen, and then we'll see. I think they know enough about me. I mean, I think they know about me.
They don't know the backstory. That's the one I want to give them. Check this out. Sister Foster and Brother A in the chat said 181 million and 155 million. I think they're talking about the Starbucks rewards thing that I was talking about there. That's crazy.
Yes.
Look at that. 3D Brit said, no, we don't. We don't know enough about you, Nikki. We need to know more.
What don't you know? What is there? What more?
We need to know.
Do you want to know?
We need to know more.
I was like, when I was 5.
Yes.
Personal, Nikki. Yep. Your turn, yes. Nikki. Damn. Well, Brit is different. Brit is just like, oh, here's the 3s. Okay. We see them. Okay.
I love it. Whatever. I love it.
Fine. We'll run it back. It'll be my turn. Be fine. It's cool. Let's get it. We usually do questions at the end. And I know I didn't tell y'all about it, but if y'all got any questions, man, maybe you got a couple minutes for questions, Nick? You want to do? We can do a few.
If they got them. If you got them, you want to drop them in real quick. Maybe we could do some questions. I think that's my favorite part. Honestly, anything live, my favorite part of anything live, well, not my favorite part, but one of my favorite parts is questions. I love questions. So if y'all got some questions, man, drop them in the chat. I really do. I think also a lot of these 3s are coming in here.
I see it. I don't understand why. I'm like, but hey, I'm here for the people. Here's the thing about me. I listen. I base my whole brand off of the people. So
that is true. I can attest to that. You're the people's champ.
Yeah.
You're the people's champ in these streets, Nix.
If they want it, okay. We're just gonna ask questions. We're gonna ask questions. I don't even know what you're gonna ask, but hey.
No.
The great thing about me.
My journalism skills are not bad. I'm gonna come with it.
The great thing about me, you ask. I'm an open book when you ask. I don't voluntarily.
That's right.
I won't voluntarily give up no information. But if you ask, I can't lie. I can be like, no, I was not there. That's not me. Yeah. No, that's a fact. That is true about Nikki. I'm excited for it though. We're gonna do that. Hey, matter of fact, how about this? Just so that we could really make this a super about the people type of experience. If you guys have any questions that you would like me to ask Nikki on next week's podcast, DM them to me, okay? You might be about to say, ask them here so I can answer it already.
No. You're going to ruin the podcast. It's about to be a full-blown Nikki podcast. So listen, if you have some questions that you're like, hey, I want to know this about Nikki, go to my Instagram and DM those questions to me. I would be more than happy to work them into my show notes so that we can make something happen. So yeah, if you've been curious about something, and for the most part, keep it clean. She doesn't mind getting a little into the personal side if we ask. She just told us, but for the most part, let's keep it clean.
Problem.
Give y'all the info. So
hi, boo.
Hey, hello. We got a couple questions though. Let's do this. So
I see
Nikki.
it.
All right, go for it.
Nikki or Moose, how do you think I can brand myself? I teach folks how to cook and fall in love with themselves in their kitchen. I'll go first. Just show how easy it is. Based off personal experience, I make content look easy, so everybody loves to try at least because I make it look easy, right? For them. So if you want people to fall in love with cooking and fall in love with themselves, You got to just show how easy it is. Y'all think this plate took me 15 hours to make? Nope, it only took me this much. And I only did this. Let me show you exactly how this happened. Boom. If you break it down like that, I think people will start building their trust with you. And then you could work on the rest as far as elevating their skills. But Moose?
Man, I think, and this is me personally, right? I think just where I'm at in my life, I have never been more interested in food than I am today. Because I'm not in my 20s where I could just eat anything and it not affect my energy or my health. Mm-hmm. I'm also not in a position where I'm willing to just sacrifice. And there was a time in college where I was eating peanut butter sandwiches and tuna every day and it didn't bother me because that's just what I had to do to get by. I'm just no longer in those stages anymore. So TikTok has brainwashed me enough for me to see all of these things coming together beautifully with this wonderful concoction that just comes off the grill like boom. I'm like, oh like my God. Oh, it's so fire. It's so fire. Boom. And it makes you so I had to exaggerate, but it makes you so intrigued.
Tell Isaiah to get
that. Yeah, and like mouth-watering type videos that I think if you're a chef today, simply doing things like that, just showing some of your best dishes and putting the ingredients in the comment, creating a newsletter where you send out how to make different healthy, nutritional, fulfilling dishes. And again, I'm sure you have your own swag with the type of food that you make, but creating a newsletter that just sends those out where, I mean, think about it. You're almost giving away a cookbook for free if you do something like that and you find your specialty within that. But the reason why I would suggest going that route, if I were to start on the internet today, like if we were to fast forward 5 or 7 years back, the number one thing I would do differently and how I would approach the internet in general is I would make sure that I'm collecting emails up front. Out the gate, I want direct access to customers because I would not just look at social media as followers and likes and views and comments and all this other stuff, those metrics that, when you're undisciplined or still growing, you fall in love with those things, but you lose sight of what actually matters when you're trying to build a brand or grow a business. And it's customers' information or building some level of loyalty with those people. So that would be one of the things I would do differently. But yeah, I think in the cooking space, man, you have a huge advantage. Side note, Kurt just said it's 1.2 billion amassed cash left on customers' gift cards for Starbucks. Good God almighty. Brand ecosystem, people. Brand ecosystem. That's bananas. And there's nothing in the rules that says the company can't use that cash. Right. So that's crazy.
And then last question. How would I brand services for adults with autism? I think it's just a matter of showing the need, right? So when we're talking about services, we got to address who our audience is and what their pain points are, right? And how is this service going to help them with whatever their pain points are? Like there needs to be a solution to what they're going through, or at least a bit of ease, something that will gain them status, something that will save them time, something to that effect where your service is providing that solution. So when you're talking about branding yourself, you have to look at yourself as a problem solver. And how are you going to put that out there from a visual standpoint, from a motivational standpoint, from an educational standpoint, and from an entertaining standpoint, because there needs to be some type of lightheartedness as well in your brand. That doesn't mean dancing and jokes and everything, but there does need to be some type of lightheartedness to a sense of where they're smiling, right? To a sense of where they feel a little bit of relief, right? And whatever they're doing. So you have to think about, first thing, where you start with it, because I saw you said, where do I start? Break down your audience in full-blown details, not demographics, not as far as where they live and that whole nine. Figure out what keeps them up at night. Figure out their biggest problems. Figure out what they're searching. Figure out some of the things that make them happy. And how are we then going to embody that and speak that specific language? Because each audience has a specific language. How do we speak that specific language to them? Because now the way that we show up is in their language and mix it with our language. So that's what I'll say, how you start with that. But Moose?
Yeah, that's so good. And I will say this: become the news outlet for all things related to autism. I just saw something today where a mom was talking about a couple of years back. It was predicted, there was someone in particular that predicted that the rate for autism amongst children will be 1 in every 2 by a certain year from where it was, which was 1 in every 25 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Now, the CDC came out today and said that that was completely wrong. Right. So I think if you're in that space, I mean, of course, great news. If you're in that space, you need to be commenting on that. There needs to be, like, you need to have your take on that. There's so much education you can do around helping people navigate that world, because it is really a unique circumstance that's incredibly taxing to not just the person who's dealing with that, but the people around them. Right. So like there's so much you can do. And I think simply just putting out information out there to educate the people on how to navigate that world. Right. Like they mentioned something, the video that I saw today about that, they were talking about the relationship between gut health and some of these different things and, heavy metals and how that impacts that. So I think, again, become the expert in the space, so much so that you can shed that information. And that's the content that people can start to look for from you. And you start to, boom, just engaging with the people based on that one thing.
That's good. And then real quick, last one is there anything free out there that will let you collect customer email information? I don't know if it's free, and I don't necessarily trust free for too long when it comes to collecting people's information outside of social media. So what I would say is check ConvertKit, and I think MailChimp is still doing some stuff.
MailChimp is still free.
Yeah, I do believe to a certain extent, to a certain amount of subscribers, you do get it for free. But as you continue to grow, then there's going to be a charge. So to start, it'll be free. But once you reach at probably about either 500 to 1,000 subscribers on your mailing list, then they're going to start to charge you, and it's going to be worth it. So check those two out. That's what I'll say.
Fire.
Well, Moose, it's been fun. I appreciate you.
Indeed. Thank you.
Okay. Appreciate the conversation. Everybody go check out his episode.
Special episode.
His episode, okay? And the reason why we did this is because we can interview everybody, we can go over everybody, but if you don't even know who we are,
come on now. Yeah.
What we doing? So give us some feedback. Leave us a review, people, on the podcast players, whether it's Spotify, leaving a rating, Apple Podcasts, leaving a review. Please leave us a review, because it actually helps us grow and scale the podcast. So please do that, especially about this one. But that's it. We appreciate y'all. You know what we're going to say.
Peace, y'all.